I just like to be exact. All right. And click got it on your screen. That's so you authorize the recording of your video presence. Okay, 20 seconds, people.
Kurt, do you know who's present with the 069 phone number on
I
Zoom?
do not. Maybe Fran does?
I don't know if you can hear me. This is Tony from 32 Silvermine Road.
Okay.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Okay, great. Thanks so much.
I wasn't sure if you could hear me. I thought I was muted too.
Yes, we can.
All right. Why don't we start the meeting? Good evening. Everybody ready? All right. Good evening and welcome to the convening of the January 13th, 2022 regular meeting of the Zoning Commission. First, let me introduce the members of the Zoning Commission present here this evening, both in live and by Zoom. I'm Kurt Timmerman as the acting chairman, Ann Vogel, Phoebe Holmes, Gary Getz, Daryl Pratt, Bashindra Komar, Frank Kwok, Mike Lucia, and Allison Kennedy, our recording secretary. There are probably copies of the agenda up there on the table if anybody who's there wants to pick one up. They're also on the town website. So feel free to pick a real one up or go to the website. So tonight, let's review the previous meeting. Does anybody want to make a motion to approve the minutes? Everybody was here last time.
I would like to be recognized by the chair, if I may.
Oh, thank you, Gary.
I have a couple of questions about the minutes, actually. I think there might be errors. They have M. Lucia listed as a regular member. I believe he's an alternate. They have an alternate as Phoebe Holmes, and she's a regular member, and Ann Vogel is missing and should be on there also as a regular member, I believe.
Yep, good. Yeah, I agree. That's needs to be corrected.
Okay.
And then one other thing at the end.
Yep.
There's the comments of commissioners. It says that the commission voted to have the next meeting in person, but now we're not meeting in person. So does that need to be addressed?
Yeah, I guess I never talked about, I guess we would add unless conditions change and we choose otherwise. Maybe we should add that on there. So that's a good idea. All right. Any other corrections anybody sees? No. And who wants to make a motion to accept the minutes as amended?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the last.
And to second?
I'll second.
All right. Thank you, Gary. And all in favor of the amended minutes, approving the amended minutes?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you. All right. Now the land use report.
107 Stony Hill Road, the NASA residents, they have that big retaining. I've been in contact with Tech. They've hired CCA to do the survey before they go to ZBA. They're waiting on a survey done by CCA. So that's in progress. Like I said, I did speak to the architect, and they are in progress on that.
All right.
82 Pocono Road, the UPS building. They obviously, Christmas is over with and the holiday rush is over. There's been no parking up there at this point, so I'm going to monitor that for a little bit still.
Okay.
And then see where that goes. But it's a problem with the holiday time, unfortunately.
Yeah. I noticed they put tape up. They put tape up to keep cars out. Yeah.
I was there today. I noticed that too.
Yeah. 67 Long Meadow Hill Road. The contractor's yard there. The owner came in on January 4th. All the kind of stuff has been removed from the property. And I checked it out. The trucks are gone. Vehicles are gone. He has 2 boats stored down in the back, which are kind of in a designated driveway, but there's no other commercial equipment there, so the neighbor is fine. I'm good, so I'm good. That's fine right now. I
Okay.
did get a new complaint, 6 New Bridge Road. A complaint came in November of 2021. I went out and inspected the property for a commercial vehicle in a non-designated driveway. There was no vehicle there at the time. Therefore, I took no action because there was no violation.
Right.
Another complaint came in on January 6th of this year. There is a vehicle parked there in a non-designated created driveway. Therefore, I sent a notice of violation. I gave until January 15th to comply with the order to remove the vehicle. And at this point, there's been no response. I did call the phone number on the vehicle. I think he's away for the winter months. He's a mason contractor, like or whatever. But there's been no communication since that. So I'm still monitoring that. And if the commission wants to sue it after the 15th, I will. But if there's no one's home, it's hard to to communicate with the owner. But I did call him too and left him a message.
Well, let's see how it is at our next meeting and see if you've heard anything back.
8 Candlewood Birches, the shed that's been a nightmare. He finally got that moved. Best in Backyards was coming to remove it. They were supposed to come out on the 21st, but he reached out to me, and the shed has been relocated in a new location on January 6th. So that was on a cease. So I would like to remove that.
Yep. Sure.
And then 89 Wisconsin Road, that hasn't changed a bit. That's the one, the citation. I have to talk to the new town attorney about that and see where we can go with this. This has been an ongoing issue. Obviously, some of the commission members know, and but it's been a nightmare. So really, otherwise it's been quiet.
Okay.
Which is good. I think, so.
All right. Great. All right. Let's see. There's a review of correspondence, the other minutes and everything. I think it's a good idea to read some of these other minutes so it knows what's coming our way, or things that are kind of affiliated with us, especially planning. But we did get a memo from the ZBA. The one member, Alan Donnelly, had some suggestions for change. He wrote them here, and we'll take them under consideration. Usually, if we do housekeeping things, we'll do them all at one group, and I've been collecting them. But in reference to these two, I watched that our December 6th meeting, and the two areas he refers to, and they have the page that's included in our packet. I think there's a misunderstanding by Alan of the maximum height. And this is on the town center district, the maximum height. We have two maximums there. One is how many stories, which is 3 stories, and the other one is 42 feet. So that's the maximum height of the building. He misunderstood, and he thought that you multiply the two together and the maximum height would be 126 feet. So he thought to strike the 3 stories. But one of the things that we do want is to have a restriction on the height, the number of stories on the building. Because if it's 42 feet, it's possible you could get a 4-story building there. That's not what the TCD regulations wanted. So,
should the word be, I'm sorry to interrupt, but should the word be or instead of and?
No, because we want them both to apply. If we had or, they could pick one or the other, and then they could have 4 stories and it'd be 42
At
feet.
42 feet.
Yeah.
Got it.
So they both apply. So we want to, cover our bases on that. So I think that's just a misunderstanding on his part. And we haven't had that sort of misunderstanding by any of the developers who come in. So it's sort of written the same way in all the regs across the state. And the other one he mentioned was the rear driveway. And I understand what he's talking about. It says the rear drive should be 10 feet plus the width of a driveway back there. And he wants to set it to a number. But I'm afraid if the number of the driveway happens to be bigger, we'd want more room. We don't know what the size of the driveway is. Some might be dictated by the fire department because they need to get trucks back there in order to, fight the fire, any fire on the back of a building. So I'd rather leave it, open like that. So it depends on whatever the fire department goes. We don't want to, restrict ourselves and then have someone have to go to the ZBA just to get a variance on a number that should have been floating, because we certainly want the 10 feet back from the driveway, keep the 10 feet back away from the building. So, and there's things like that in a number of areas in the regulations where we stipulate something that could vary. So we stipulate, what something like a rear driveway where we don't know how wide it's going to be. And so we leave it that way plus another number. And so it's unknown until the site plan comes in and then we know it. And there might not even be a driveway. So it might just be 10 feet back there. So there's similar stuff like that. So, but we'll look at it. I'll collect it the next time we come through some housekeeping regs. We'll have all of them together because there's some stormwater things that we have to look at. And then we'll discuss it again at that point. So thank you, Alan.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yeah.
We were also given via Nina, and also Fran was kind enough to hand us another memo similar from the Zoning Board of Appeals dated today.
Yep.
I don't know if everyone got a copy of that, but if you want to discuss it, like you said, you wanted to table these items, but just to recognize that's there too. I don't know if you have it and you wanted to.
Okay. Oh, is it about the historic districts
Yes.
being on the zoning map?
Yes.
Okay. I don't see why that's not a bad idea, because if someone lives in the historic district and they look at a zoning map, or someone who doesn't, they want to know, do I or don't I? Do I have to go to another commission to get anything done? The only thing I have to check with the land use and is it allowed to be? It's not a zone, but it could be an overlay, historic overlay. So we could do something like that. I'm all for it as long as it doesn't make the zoning map too confusing. And I don't think there's anything in that area that would be confusing to have an overlay like the historic overlay there. I'd have to look at the map. But
Fran here, I don't think it would be. I think it's R40 zone. So
Mhm.
just to do the overlay on it, I think we could do that.
Yeah.
Just trying to figure out kind of a placard over it or something, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Without having to make all new maps.
yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So-
And that because it's also a
If I may, I
zoning.
did have one.
Oh, sure. No, go ahead.
I got excited there when Fran was talking, but I also, I know we're kind of tabling these things, but the last word on this recommendation is forever. And I don't know if we want to use words like forever in making zoning regs, maybe
Yeah.
for the foreseeable future, or something that implies you can never change it.
Right. Usually we pass these by the land use attorney, and then he catches all those things that shouldn't be in there. Because, I might put for some of these things or other people, but usually that's a good last word to put in there. And since it's a zoning map change, it'll have to go through the same changes like a zoning text change does. Similar application. So that's fine. We could do that. I have a few things I've been collecting, so maybe we could do that probably mid-year or something like that to get some of these housekeeping things done. I'm just looking at the
Okay.
timing and everything.
I do have a sense that we're going to probably continue to see some of this based upon this recent flurry.
Oh, sure. I mean, someone, Kumar, could you do your hands around, turn on the light? Thank you. Yeah, and that's fine. More people looking at the regs and finding these little things. I mean, sometimes it's better we find them than the applicants. So
Yes.
that's okay. All right.
Mark, if I could just mention one thing too.
Sure.
I know, on the height, the maximum height of 3 stories and 42 feet. I
Yeah.
know, what we want, or what we wanted at the time, but I know ZBA has also granted variances. Even though the height hasn't changed, they've allowed the 4 stories inside
Right.
the max requirement too,
Yeah.
so.
And that's true, but that's a case by case basis, rather than, yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting. We'll get to the granny pods later, because there's a difference between special permits and stuff and just having as a right to do something. So that would be a good tie-in at the end. All right, so now we're to the continued public hearings. This public hearing was opened on the December 9th, 2021 meeting, and it's for 32 Silver Mine Road, application Z-21-104. It's an application for a 692 square foot accessory apartment at 32 Silver Mine Road. Did I already say that? Yeah. So we already opened a public hearing. All the same rules apply as was talked about when we first opened it. So we'll start with the applicant giving their information, and then we'll ask for questions of clarification, and then the for and against questions or comments, and then we'll go from there, and then closing the public hearing and deliberating. So it's the applicant for 32 Silver Mine Road. Could you please discuss your application?
Yep, good evening. Yes, I bought the property in mind to restore the accessory apartment for my parents.
Mm-hmm.
I guess there was a accessory apartment that was there from what
Yep.
Fran was telling me, and I just wanted to restore that permit for my parents.
Okay.
Excuse
And-
me, can I ask you to just state your full name for the record, please?
Sure, sorry. Yeah, sorry, Tony Pina.
And your address? Is that your address? The
It's
32?
30 yep.
Okay.
Correct. Yep, 32 Silverman Road.
Thank you.
problem.
By the way, thank you for the more clear map that you sent to us. That's much
Yes,
easier.
I tried my best.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other one was the one the architect drew, so I tried to simplify as much as I could.
And I'm looking at the map, and can you tell me what the orientation is as I'm looking at it? What the towards the top of the page? What direction is that? Is that north, south, east, or west?
Sure. So that's the rear of the house. I would say the south. So towards so behind where the main entrance is, you would have like Oak Grove. So on the back side of the street, you know what I mean?
All right. So the top of the page is facing
If
west.
you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
yes. Yeah, you're correct. West.
Okay.
And then, so yeah, you would enter from the rear of the house into the main living area,
Mm-hmm.
and then you would have the kitchen depending where you're standing, to the left or the right, and then it has one bedroom and one bath and a laundry room, and then it has, he labeled it as a playroom, but most likely my parents are planning on using it as a dining room, because with the cabinets and everything in the way, there's not much room to have a table in the kitchen, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. And this is all within the building that's there. I'm familiar with the property that's at the bottom of Silver.
Correct. It's in the lower level.
Okay. Part of that garage, or is that garage separate, which is not shown on here?
Yes, the garage is separate.
Okay. All right. So that entrance you have circled, I have circled on the top of the drawing where it says entrance. Is that the entrance from the outside?
That is the entrance from the outside, correct.
And do you have any stairs or door into the other part of the building, into the main entrance, into your main, where you live?
There is, but you would have to actually go into the utility room and then into the house, if you know what I mean. And that's not drawn there, but where the playroom is, along that
Yes.
wall
Yes.
there,
Okay.
there is a door that goes to this utility room then that you could then possibly access the other home, if you know what I mean.
All right, but that, just for the commission, what's required for an accessory apartment is both a door to the main entrance when you're inside the same building and another means of egress separate from going into the house. So egress, could mean just a window, but in this case, it's a door.
I had that question. I didn't
Correct.
realize because
They
I
do,
see
and I do have egress windows as well in the
Windows, okay.
bedrooms and,
Yeah.
yep, I try to label those there too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so because of the door leading to the main building, your house, it creates, that's what an accessory apartment is. If there was no wall there, then that would be a duplex, and that's what we don't want there. So the size too, you had written 696. I calculated 764 from your measurements. You might not realize it, but it's the outer envelope of everything there. But that still meets the reg. The reg is anywhere from 480 to 800 square feet for an accessory apartment.
Oh, okay.
So it
Okay.
meets that. And then you have an affidavit here, I see, stating about your parents and their ages.
Correct. Correct.
And Fran, is there anything else? I think it meets all the regs.
Yeah, Kurt, it does, yeah.
Yep.
Everything's in place.
Okay.
I was just waiting on the updated, the floor plan of the property, or the unit. So.
Yep. All right. All right. Any other questions for the commission at this time? All right. Is there any questions of clarification from the audience? Just clarification, no for or against. I don't think is there anybody else there? Beside,
Have one apple.
okay. And there's, okay. And is there anybody like to speak in favor of this application? Anybody would like to speak in opposition? All right. Any last things to say about the application, Mr. Pina?
No, that'll be all. I just want to thank Fran for all his help and guiding me through the process.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming in front of us. So any last questions or discussion, questions from the commission?
No, I think I'm good on this one.
All right. Well, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing. So that's a portion where, all right, and a second?
A second.
All right, and
I'm sorry, who made the motion?
Gary,
Me.
oh, great, Gary. All right, any discussion on the motion? All those in favor of closing the public hearing? Aye.
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 All right. Mr. Pina will be going through deliberations probably at the end of the meeting after we go through the rest of the applications. So you can stay on or watch on video or, we're streaming live off the town website. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll hang tight. All right, thank you.
So the next application is, let's see, 28 Delmar Drive, application Z-21-111, site plan modification for Mafia blocks. So is the applicant here for that? I think they're live there, right?
yes, he's here.
Okay. And sir, do we have a microphone for him, Fran? That might be easier.
Mikey, come on. Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, the glowing green light.
Right there, yeah.
Oh,
Sure, if she wants it right there.
You can face them. You don't have to face me.
there.
All right, could you tell us about your application and what you want to do there?
Well, we've just had a new A2 done, and we have a construction debris that comes in daily, and we're just dumping it on the ground, and then once we get enough, we load it into trucks and take it out. We'd
Right.
like to put in a bin of Mafia blocks that we dig along the property line.
Mm-hmm.
We'll dig them down so they don't slide, and then we'll pin them as they go up, so if the machine hits them, they don't get knocked over. It's
Right.
just a construction pin, so our machines aren't digging into the ground.
Okay. And these will be 8 feet or less, so they don't form
Yeah.
a structure.
Definitely.
And no coverage, because that would form a structure too. It's just, maybe you'll put a tarp over it or something, but nothing permanent. And I think it's, how wide is it? I'd see that it's 30 feet deep, if I'm reading the A2 right.
Correct.
And, 80 feet. It's 80 feet wide. Okay.
80.
And what about I think there used to be trucks parked there, didn't there? I mean, I've been by that area.
We've kind of swapped them over to the other side, and that's easier to get big trucks in there to haul the stuff out. So it's easier to load from there.
Yeah.
We just moved the trucks over to the other side of the lot, and that's where we're dumping the materials.
Okay. It looks pretty straightforward. This is, what is this, a C2 zone, Fran? Or is this industrial? Let me look at it. Sort of right on the edge.
Maybe, I think it is C2. Give me,
On the site plan, it says C2.
All right.
C2.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Frank.
Sure.
All right. So just for the commission, any a structure has got to be covered and it's got to be over 8 feet. These are basically 3 walls, 3 fences, and as long as it's 8 feet or under, it does not require, it doesn't. It's not a structure. Doesn't need anything beyond what he's doing here. So it doesn't need to apply for setbacks, because setbacks in this zone are more than 2 feet. It's more like 30 feet or 50 feet from the front road.
And Kurt, you're saying specifically 8 feet high, correct?
Yeah, it's got to be 8 feet or less.
What about a width and a depth of the area that he's going to assume?
As long as it's not enclosed, then it doesn't become a structure.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
No, yeah, it doesn't matter. And you've seen these things at places that do earthworks, they have stone or rocks or things like that. Very
Yeah.
same idea. And they will always be less than a certain height.
Okay.
Once it becomes a structure, it's got to abide by the setbacks for that zone. So for the C2, it's probably 30 or 50 feet. I'd have to look it up, but it's not, so it doesn't have to. All right. Any other commissioners have questions about this?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Okay, Gary.
May I?
Yep.
Yeah, I was just curious, is there a difference between construction debris and construction materials? And could you just describe kind of like what kind of stuff it would be that would go in this bin?
What we do is we chisel up and dig out people's basements around the footings, and all the stuff that we dig out of there, we take out in buckets and bring back to the yard and replace it with gravel. So 2/3 of this bin will be the construction debris, and the other third will be the gravel that we replace it with.
So mostly concrete and gravel?
It's only 4 inches of concrete. It's
Yeah.
mostly the gravel that we dig out of the hole to get the
Okay.
pipes down underneath the floor.
Yeah, that's very helpful. Thanks. That's all I had.
All right. Thanks, Gary. Anybody else? All right. So I'd take a motion to approve this application. Anyone want to make that?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thanks, Jared. Yeah. I keep losing my agenda. You want to make a motion to approve 28 Delmar Road Drive?
28 Delmar, yep, drive.
All right, a second for that?
Second.
Thanks, Gary. And all in favor of approving 28 Delmar Drive, application Z-21-111 for a site plan modification? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed, or was it unanimous? All right, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
Okay, now we're moving on to 30 Federal Road, application Z-21-110, site plan modification for 2 canopy signs for Sunoco. Do we have someone here on Zoom? Or
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. Could you state your name and your address for the record?
Sure, this is John Leclerc with Station Globe, New England, 4 Noe Place, Beacon Falls, Connecticut.
All right, thank you. And did you want to share your screen for the plans?
Unfortunately, I'm not able to, as I'm pulled over on the side of the road right now.
Does everybody have it in their packets? They had sent forward some the last time.
I'll do.
Okay,
Just
good.
for the
great.
record, I'm recusing myself, not that I'm voting anyway, just because my company does work with Mitchell Oil. So,
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mike. Just to be clear, thank you for reminding me, Mike. The voting members today are all the regular members because there's 5 of them. They're all here. All right, John, why don't you describe what you want to do with your application?
So this is pretty much just a new image for Sunoco. It's going to remain a Sunoco, but this is something new they come up with. They're removing the checker flags from their canopies. And you know, it's just the new image like any other gas station. They change them every few years.
Yeah. All right. Just so you know, the commission, we've had 2 of these done at 4 corners. The BP redid theirs, and well, actually, it was just 1, wasn't it?
Both.
It was. What was the other one? Shell? Yeah, Shell did theirs. Yep.
Correct. Yes, we did the Shell one across the street.
Oh, you,
Under
okay.
BP. Yep.
All right. So you've been busy with all of them. For the commission, a couple things we like to look at is signage, not too much. And the other thing we like to look at is the lighting, and that it can't be too bright, too glaring. This Sunoco actually doesn't look as bright as the other 2. John, is this backlit, these signs?
These are backlit, yes.
And so basically the part that shines the most is the yellow and red, and the blue is opaque?
Yes.
And for on top of the gas pumps themselves, are you telling me they're actually reducing the amount of signage they have on top of the pumps? They're removing.
The valances are pretty similar to the same size. I'm not sure. There might be an inch smaller or so, but they're really close to the same size.
Okay. And Fran, how does the actual calculations look on the signage and everything?
Better than it is right now. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
All right. And let's see, the signage is on 2 sides or 3? The 2, 1 facing the road and the 2 facing the 2 directions of travel. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
All right. So also for commission, when first of all, Fran takes care of all the sign calculations, and he takes that care of all that by himself. So he does all the calculations with frontage and building size, and therefore calculates, well, how big of a sign they can have or how much square footage they can put with their name and everything.
Okay.
So, if this meets all the regs, then it looks pretty straightforward. Do we have any questions from commission members?
Yes, I have questions.
Thank you, Gary.
Yes. So is the canopy the same size, smaller or bigger than the existing?
It's the same size that it is now.
Okay. You said the signage is relatively the same as well? Maybe smaller even?
It should be smaller. I mean, because we're getting rid of the checker flag and it all, and the NASCAR stuff that was on there. So it's going to be smaller now.
Okay, thank you, John. Thank you, Kurt.
No problem.
I mean to be curt with you.
Any other commission members have any questions for the applicant?
No, not here.
No.
All right, thank you. And I'll take a motion to approve. By the way, all motions are always to approve. We can always say no, but that's the way it is. So anybody want to make a motion to approve?
I would like to move the zoning commission approve 30 Federal Road, number Z-21-110.
Okay, thank you. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Daryl. Any more discussion on it?
I
All
saw
right.
Phoebe up there too.
Oh.
I was muted. I think I was on mute.
Oh. Did you have a question?
No, I was seconding.
Oh, okay. And all in favor of the approving the application?
Aye.
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 Okay, it's unanimous. Though only the regular members are voting. I like to raise my hand once in a while. All right, thank you, John.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, you too.
Good night.
The 7C proposed regulation, that doesn't come up for public hearing until February 24th, so we don't have to do anything about it. The next one is 8A 291 Federal Road, that they say Brookfield Senior Living. It's the Linden of Brookfield. That's a new assisted living place across from Costco and stuff. It's application Z-18-118. They have a request for a bond release, and you'll see a document in your application. Hey, where's my picture? There it is. You'll see a document that describes the release. Fran, is the first release for the plants and stuff around it? Is that?
It is. I did do an inspection on the property. They
Yeah.
are missing some shrubs. Everything else is basically stable there. I have been in contact with the GC and the developer.
Yeah.
They know they're missing, I counted all the trees. They're missing 2 trees actually, one in one island and one just to the, I guess, to the east of the island. But everything else is there. I have a verification from the landscape architect that everything's in place.
Yeah.
Except for those couple trees, but everything else is stable and everything looks good out there. So yes.
All right.
Looks good.
And it's probably too late to put those trees in now. So, they're running
Yeah,
against
yeah.
the clock with weather.
Yeah. No, they'll have to do it in the springtime. So that's, but no, definitely. Everything else looks good out there.
All right. Yeah.
There was an issue with the fence. They put the fence up, and they put the finished side to their side, to the south side, which I told them that I wasn't gonna do a sign off until they, finished the north side too, because that's what the regulations state, which they
Yep.
did.
Yes.
Finished side on the north side too, so.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, they've been cooperative and they've been good, but, I'm good with this stuff.
All right. Just so the commission knows, with fences, when you put a fence up, and I think this is with a lot of places, you put the good side towards the neighbor. It's just being neighborly. So they, for some reason, didn't think that, and then they were schooled. But they did it. It looks nice.
Because they didn't want to look at the unfinished side.
Yeah.
That's what they.
And I can understand that. It doesn't look as nice. So in this case for bond release, what we do is we make a motion to recommend to the Board of Selectmen to release the bond for this property. So we don't do it. We just make a recommendation for the Board of Selectmen to do it.
So may I ask a question, Kurt?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so looks like we're withholding 8,000 and that we're withholding that for the remainder of items that still need to be completed.
Yeah. So what's the rest of it for? I knew there's, by the way, when we do a big site plan like this, there's always a bond calculation based on different things we wanted to do. And the biggest one's usually landscaping, because, we want to make sure it lasts a year or however long we hold the bond for. And so there might be multiple things on this. So the big one is for the landscaping and probably the driveway. So Fran, do you know what the other 8,000 is for? Do you have it on top of your head?
The other 8,000, we're actually holding 2 more bonds. The other additional 8,000 is to ensure that the plants survive 1 year.
Okay.
And the additional plantings. Then we are retaining a bond also, I believe, for, I want to say possibly $5,000 for the concrete sidewalks that they're supposed to install out there.
Yes.
But they didn't install yet. We have an agreement with them because DOT is going to be doing the road widening out there. The commission at the time wanted a concrete walk out there also when they were doing the road work.
Right. So
that's
just so
it for.
Yeah, just so the commission knows, when this came in front of us, there was that timing discrepancy, and wherever we do work down there in commercial zones, we like to put sidewalks in. So eventually there's a sidewalk all the way so people can walk along it. And we knew that this work for the state road there was going to be done, which you start seeing happening now. So we try to come up with a solution that you can defer it for, I think, 2 years. And then if the state doesn't do it in 2 years, then you have to finish that sidewalk like we wanted to, because we didn't want them to put it in, then the state comes along and tears it up because they're widening the road or something like that. So that's what that's for.
Understood. Okay. And did they turn the fence around?
Yeah, they added to the other side. They have 2 finished sides now.
Oh,
So
wow.
Probably easier than flipping it.
they probably weren't happy about it, but hey,
They weren't.
we're happy about it, and that's what
Yeah.
counts.
That's it.
So who wants to make a motion to recommend to the Board of Selectmen to do the bond release of 26,000 for this property? Who wants to take a jab at that? One of you regular members, because only voting members can raise motions.
Okay, I'll take a stab at this. I'd like
All right.
a motion to approve the bond release for 291 Federal Road, Brookfield Senior Living, Z-18-118.
And to recommend to the selectmen to do the release.
Recommend to the selectmen to do the release.
And a second on that?
Second.
Thank you, Phoebe. And all in favor of the bond release and recommendation to the Board of Selectmen?
Aye.
All right, thank
Aye.
you. Great. All right, and all right, now we're to nominations for election of officers for 2022. So which way do we want to work, from the top down, or why don't we work with chairman? Actually, anybody can make a nomination, and but only regular members can vote for who's going to be it. So do we hear a nomination for, I'm opening for nominations for chairman.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to nominate Ann Vogel for chairman.
All right. Do we have any other nominations anybody wants to make?
Who can make the nominations, Kurt? Anybody?
Yes. Yes, the whole board can make it, but only the regular members can vote on it.
I nominate Phoebe Holmes.
All right. By the way, does Phoebe and Ann both agree to be nominated? You don't have to be. All right. And any more nominations? So let's make a motion to close the nominations. One of the regular members can do that.
So moved.
All right. And a second to close the nominations.
So moved.
All right. Thank you. Is that Daryl? And all in favor of closing the nominations? All right.
Aye.
And that was unanimous. So for voting, who for Ann, who is voting to have her be chairman? All in favor?
Who can vote on this?
Aye.
Kurt,
Just the regular members can vote.
understood.
Yeah, we can't vote. How many are? You can vote for yourself, Ann. So,
Aye.
all right, that's 4. It wasn't big enough. I couldn't count them. All right, so moved. Not tonight, Phoebe.
Appreciate
All right.
it. Thank you. That's
Thanks
really
for
good.
putting yourself forward. Yes. Okay, now for vice chairman, open the nominations for vice chairman. So who wants to make
I'd
a
like to make a
nomination?
motion to nominate Kendra Komar for vice chair.
All right. And any other nominations?
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Phoebe Holmes.
All right. And any other nominations? So I want to make a motion to close the nominations. One of the regular members. I'm going to make your screen big.
Like to
Oh,
make
thank
a
you,
motion
Ann.
to close the nominations.
And a second to close the nominations.
Second.
Thank you, Gary. And all in favor of closing nominations? All your regular members. Okay, thank you. And okay, let's start with the voting for for Bashinder Kumar for vice chairman. All in favor of voting for him?
Aye.
Okay, that's 4. All right. So thank you. That passes. And thank you for again, Phoebe. And then for position of secretary, we'll open the nominations for that.
I'd like to open the nomination for that.
And who would?
I'd like to nominate Gary Getz for secretary.
All right. And anybody on the other nominations?
I'll nominate Phoebe Holmes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Frank. And any other nominations? Okay. A motion to close the nominations from one of the regular members. Thank you. And a second?
A second.
All in favor of closing the nominations?
Aye.
All right. And let's see. And all the for Gary Getz being a secretary, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right. Okay. So that's approved.
Unanimous.
All right. So congratulations, chairman, vice chairman, and secretary. So you'll be, I guess, for next time, they'll take over from here. So I'll finish up the acting on this one. And the one we have is the new law on accessory apartments on 10A. Did everybody have a chance to look at that, about the granny pods? This is part of the new land use regulations coming down from the state. And that, you know, some of these granny pods, I think they have a picture here. They're like tiny homes, and they allow them as a right. I believe that's what it is, right, Fran? So anybody can say, I want to put a granny pod in. I don't need to go to a special hearing like the 2 people did previous to this, and basically have an accessory apartment put onto their property like that. So that's what the regulation is. We have an opt-out option, 2/3 of vote from the zoning commission. So for the regular members here, we could opt out of that regulation. In fact, all of these are like that. Not only this, but affordable housing and a number of other ones, because we do have a lot of regs in the regulations for affordable housing and how we try to handle it, and for accessory apartments. And we have, a decent number of accessory apartments already, and we have a decent amount of affordable housing already. So I'm in favor of opting out of not only this, but all the other ones, because I want to keep the zoning, local here and be in charge of it, because I think we've done a pretty good job so far of what we've done. I don't want to be penalized as for down county people who, might not have as much, or that's what the feeling is from the legislator. And so they want to punish them, but we get punished too. So I would gravitate towards opting out of these. And maybe that's something for the next meeting or something, write up the motion to do that. But that's how I feel. How does the rest of the commission feel on that?
Well, the only thing I think I was reading, and I think you might need to have a public hearing first to opt out. At
Okay.
least, I may have read it wrong, but somebody.
No, there is a lot of words on there. I was watching that. There was a webinar, and they went through so much stuff. It's like an hour and a half long, and they had the lawyers there and everything. So I'll look that up to see if that's what we need to do. So, all right, thanks. I'll look that up, make sure.
Town attorney too. Yeah.
Okay,
I can check
okay.
with the town attorney. So.
Yeah, and actually, it might be a good idea to have the town attorney, let's give them their first test, write up a motion for us if we decide as a group we want to opt out. I'd rather have some good legal words to use to do that.
Good point.
I must say, I'm in agreement with you, Kurt. I need to do a little more reading, but from what I've seen, I think opting out is the wise choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. All right. So we'll find out we'll get something back from the new town attorneys to see what they suggest and what they have, and some good words to use. And if they can get that back, maybe we can put it on the agenda for the next meeting, which is January 27th. Is there anything else anybody wants to talk about, while we're in informal comments or anything?
Under
Yeah,
number 11?
Oh,
I have comments or questions, probably for Fran. I'd just like to be, posted as to what's going on with the growing seeds, the lawsuit that we're involved in. There just doesn't seem to be very many updates, and I feel that every meeting we should be updated about that, because it's just a huge thing that we're involved in. And I don't know why it's just not being talked about at each meeting. And I don't even know if the new commissioners know about that lawsuit that we're involved in. Do you guys know about it?
I don't think so. And I was talking with Ann the other day, and I informed her that they had sued our commission. And speaking to that, I got an email from Jeffrey Sinkowitz, Attorney Sinkowitz, who was handling it, and he's given it back. He's given it over to the new town attorney, and so now she's got it.
So it's no longer Tom Beecher?
It's no longer Tom Beecher or his group. No. That was changed. The Board of Selectmen changed it back in, was it January or December? It was.
Okay, I didn't realize that had changed. So it's a new person and it's a female?
Yes. Oh, well, this one, there's two people assigned from that firm.
Firm, yeah, it's a firm.
Yeah, it's a firm, but two are, one's, I saw a man who was at the Board of Selectmen's meeting, but this is a woman who was given the notes from Attorney Sinkowitz to her. I can't remember her name right now, but she's one of the principals of their firm. So, but to your point, yes, it'd be nice to know.
Yeah, if Fran could keep up with her, or I don't know if that's Fran's job or whose job that is, to inform us. Hopefully every meeting, if there's any changes or if we need to appear or how that's going. It would be nice to know.
Yeah, I don't think we'll never need to appear. I think the attorney handles all that, and we're sort of protected from liability because we're members of the municipal board. thankfully.
I just want to make sure, and that's new to me, being sued on the commission, so I just want to be informed. Nice to know.
Yeah, the wheels of justice turn slowly.
I sure do.
And I
Phoebe,
don't-
I'll reach out tomorrow and I'll get an update for you. Okay.
Thanks, Fran. That's great. So you'll have one next meeting?
I will have a written update from her, and I'll ask her for a written update next meeting. Yep. As to
You're the
where
best.
we stand.
Thank you so much.
Oh, by the way, that lawsuit was because it was the opponents of Growing Seeds. Growing Seeds was putting a daycare into the old Craft Basket building. That's I don't know what is behind the Irving gas station back there, and they didn't. The neighbors, the neighboring daycare, Country Kids, and some neighbors in the abutting zone, which is a residential zone, were not happy about the outcome. So they grouped together as a group and sued the commission to appeal the decision of our board. So I don't know when we'll find out. Sometimes it takes years because there was the Sokals Club. I don't know if you were on the board, Phoebe, where the Sokals Club on Candlewood Lake.
Not ringing a bell.
So that was a social club, and they wanted bigger parking, and the ZBA had turned them down years ago, and then didn't recently, and then the zoning commission had to approve because they had all the variances, but then they were sued, and the ZBA's ruling was overturned, which sort of invalidated our approval as well. So, but that took a couple of years to finally come around to being in front of a judge. So it's going to be a long wait.
Gotcha.
So you can sleep at night until it gets closer.
Thanks, Kurt.
No problem. Any other comments from the commissioners?
I just have one thing I can.
Oh, yeah. By the way, he always has something to say, so.
I always have something.
Yeah.
And it's not chickens or roosters.
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
I received a phone call regarding 289 Candlewood Lake Road. It's in the Marine Commercial District. MC
Oh,
District.
yeah. Yep.
Right across from down the hatch over there. Bread and breakfast. They're looking for a definition. We have it in our regs, but we do not have a definition of a bread and breakfast. I'm not sure when we regs if that was under short-term rental or what when we did it with Malone and McBroom or what we were considering.
Could you say the definition again? What word?
Bed and breakfast.
Bread and breakfast.
Bed and breakfast?
Oh, bed and breakfast.
B&B, yeah, basically.
Yeah. I'll have to.
I mean, that's
look
usually
that-
They were
pretty
looking at
short
289
term.
Candlewood Lake Road, which is right across from down the hatch. A
Yeah.
house on the hill up there. I indicated to the individual, I said, there's no CO on the house yet, so that's gonna be a while, but.
Yeah. That's interesting because we talked about bed and breakfast, allowing them into TCD and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you're right. What's to distinguish a bed and breakfast? Well, one thing I don't know if it distinguishes it or not, but one is that the owner being there or not being there. In a bed and breakfast, usually the owner is there.
Yeah.
And then they rent a room out and board too. And with a short-term unit, usually the owners, they could be there too. You know what? We should look at the, really defining those definitions because these sort of things, that's what is the niggly stuff that we sometimes have to clean up. Like this might be a housekeeping thing to have a good definition of bed and breakfast that is distinguishable from a short-term rental or overlapping, if that makes sense too. Though usually you'd want a bed and breakfast that you could rent all the time. Otherwise, it wouldn't be profitable. That said, a bed and breakfast operates like a hotel, and sometimes hotels, I don't know if they're allowed in that district. So that's what we have to look at. Is a bed and breakfast a hotel? Is just a form of hotel versus is it a form of short-term rental? Because I mean, even hotels are short-term rentals. So
Yeah, but it says in the Kurt, it says in the regulations, that building providing lodging for persons without meals. You know, so if you're doing a B and B, then you're basically, I mean, I would be looking for a meal, at least of some sort.
yeah,
So with
at
or
least
without
breakfast.
meals.
It turns into an Airbnb, which is not allowed anymore, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, without breakfast, it's an Airbnb.
Yeah. Where's my breakfast?
Yeah. But I just think it's something that we really need to look at, maybe I'll work on getting some definitions and stuff and.
Yeah. And this is when we look around at other towns and see how they've handled it, because that's how we looked at our short-term rentals too. We looked at whether others handled it at all, and if they did, what they happened to be. So, all right, yeah. Why don't you look at it, and I'll look to see, because my opinion is that a bed and breakfast is more like a hotel, and and you know, I don't necessarily, if I lived in a residential zone, I don't want a hotel next to me necessarily. And that means that there's multiple people come in and all the time. So it becomes more of a security risk rather than the short-term rentals. We restrict how many you can have because there's that fewer different people, strangers that are moving in next to you for that short term. And that's where we were looking at, what are the limitations on the short-term rental? How many strangers do you want traipsing through in your neighborhood when you don't know anything about them? I mean, it behooves the owner to pick good people, but you have no control over it. So that's where we went for short-term rental regulations on that.
Mhm.
So, but that's my feeling about B&Bs. And which is why we allow them down in the town center district. You know, that's a nice small hotel. We like people to come visit, you know, and, you know, take all in of what our downtown could eventually offer down there.
Really interesting.
Yeah. And these are sort of like conundrums that we have. It's like, now what do we do about that? You know, people are asking, and then we have to come up with a very, you know, precise answer, because they're depending on it. If they just go forward with an application and then say, well, you know, that's not what I understood, or that's what I was told. And so that becomes problematic. So that's where tweaking the regulations now and then.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right. So anything else from the commissioners or from
I did have one question, if I may.
Sure.
More of a point of clarification.
Sure.
And I'm still obviously a new member and no expert on Robert's rules, but I was just wondering, how is one who's not able to vote able to make motions, since making motions is part of voting?
You can make motions. Did I make a motion? I was usually asking for a motion, but no, only voting members can make motions. Sometimes we forget.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what we just had an exercise with it, though, right?
Yeah.
Only voting members can make motions.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So for nominations, at least in our bylaws, anybody can nominate. So that's not really a motion. But for the rest of them, I could only ask for someone to do it for me, and I couldn't do it myself.
Okay. Thank you.
And that said, usually, you know, the chairman asks for motions anyway, because, you know, that's just common way of doing it. And
the one making all of them.
No. And you know what? I'll try to write up a script. I have one from my ZBA days, so I think that would help out.
You're the best. Thank you. Yeah.
Sure.
And I do want to thank you again for agreeing to chair these last two meetings. And I will miss you at the helm.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it.
And I will work with you if you want to get together over the weekend or whatever.
Right.
Let me know whatever works for you. We can do a mock-up here.
Yes.
And, you know, I'll walk you through everything and stuff, and this way you get comfortable here, so.
Perfect.
So,
Great.
I got your back, so all good, so.
I am sure. Okay, all right. Well, thanks, everyone.
All right. Anybody want to make a motion? Anything else? Anyone? Bueller?
Still have that case?
Great job,
Don't we
Kurt.
have
You've done a really good job.
Thanks.
Z-21-104?
Oh, wait, which one?
Don't we still have Z-21-104?
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Yes, let's go back to that.
Okay, so on top of it.
Good catch, Gary.
Sorry, Tony.
All right. So we'll do the deliberations.
No problem.
32. Yeah. So what usually happens is, we go back around once we finish all the business. And if we have time, and if it's not a big thing to decide about or think about, we will do the deliberations of the public hearings we have. It's open executive session, which means only the commissioners can talk among themselves and the audience cannot contribute at all, or say anything or complain or clap, whatever. So let's talk about 32 Silver Mine Road, application Z-21-104. It's pretty straightforward as far as, these sort of accessory apartments. He's met all the regulations. And how the other commission members feel about that.
I have one request.
Okay.
I would like to make a motion to approve. However, may we ask the applicant to resubmit a drawing that shows the egress door into the utility room and ultimately shows the rest of the way out. I think it's critical.
Sure.
that
Okay.
that's file.
All right. So you can make an motion with stipulations. So that's how you would do that.
Okay.
And stipulate just that, an updated drawing. And I would say also put in the ordinal direction, north, where north is pointing. So we have an understanding.
Yep. Good point.
Anybody else have discussion on that or ideas about that stipulations on the motion?
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't know we were going to make a motion yet. I thought we were still discussing it, but I did have a question.
No, we are.
But I don't know if it's too late now.
You can discuss for a motion you want to make.
Just to clarify again, so public hearing date is today, but we have 65 days remaining to move this if we needed it? Is that correct?
Well, we closed the public hearing, so, that was today. So, we have exactly 65 days. We could string it out 65 days or if there's some.
We needed to.
If we needed to, if it was a particularly difficult application, like, for example, the growing seeds, we strung out the deliberations over a couple meetings because we had a lot of thinking to do on that. So there's an example
Well,
of
on
that.
this one, I had some more documents to look at tonight, but in my packet, I only had the very basic floor plan, but I've had a chance to look at other things tonight.
Yeah, that floor plan is
Might have been
about a million times better than the other two we got.
Oh, yeah.
We can actually read it. So.
And then maybe one more question for me, one more point of clarification. I believe I recall, but has this been looked at by our fire departments and all the other departments?
Fran, do we usually do that for, Fran looks at it.
Yes, it does. It goes through a whole plan review right through the building department when the application comes in. It goes to building, health, fire, goes through everybody.
Okay.
But fire doesn't get too much involved because the only time fire gets involved is when it's 3 units or more. But for two family, it's more or less building, myself, health. So.
Okay. All right. And it passed muster with you and all of the departments that you brought it through.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
All right. Well, Ann, would you anybody other commissioners have any questions, a clarification, or ideas for stipulations? All right. Ann, would you like to make that motion with that stipulation?
Sure. Let me find the Accessory apartment. Okay. I would like to make a motion for 32 Silvermine Road.
A motion to approve.
Motion to approve 32 Silvermine Road, Z-21-104, the accessory apartment with the stipulation that a new drawing be submitted showing the egress doors into the main dwelling.
And the
Is there
north.
any timeframe on that?
And the directions, how do you say that, Kurt?
And the ordinal direction of north.
Ordinal direction of north.
Time limit. Usually this is stipulated as soon as he, no, we usually don't. Of course, he can't get his permit until he actually turns it in.
Okay.
And then the second, anybody want to second that?
I'll second.
Thank you, Gary. And any more discussion on the motion? Does that sound good? Yeah, okay, all in favor of the motion as stated? Aye. All right. Passes unanimously. All right. So who is on the, Tony, you have your application. Just submit that drawing that we'd like to see with the extra information on it to Fran in the land use office. So he can get along to giving you a permit for that.
All right.
And, all right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ever.
Yep. And anything else? Or now I'll take a motion to adjourn. Phoebe's good at that.
I make a motion to adjourn.
And a second?
Second that.
All right, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.